Imagine this. A lone wanderer strolls into a calm and cheerful village, never uttering a word, yet somehow leaves behind broken friendships and bitter rivals. Hard to believe, isn't it? Yet within African mythology lives a spirit so sly, so unpredictable, that even the divine tread carefully around him. His name is Eshu, the trickster and messenger of the Orishas, and this tale is among his most notorious exploits. So settle in, because you're about to uncover a legendary story from Africa's past. But before we journey further, I have a quick question for you. I know many of you watching come from every corner of the world, connected by the shared love of African myths. So tell me, where are you tuning in from? Drop it in the comments and I'll be there chatting with you. And if you're enjoying this exploration, hitting that like and subscribe button would mean so much. Now let's return to the story. The sun hovered lazily above a Yoruba village, spilling golden light across the crimson earth. The people were alive with energy, preparing for a grand festival in honor of Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom. It was a moment of unity, a celebration of spirit. Drums echoed with rhythm, women pounded yam with joy, fish sizzled on open fires, and palm wine flowed into carved calabashes. Laughter bound the village together until a figure appeared on the horizon. A man unlike any other. His robe was divided sharply down the center, one half different from the other, marking his presence as both unsettling and unforgettable. One side of his robe shimmered crimson, like blood newly spilled, while the other side sank into a darkness as deep as a starless sky. With deliberate steps, he cut through the very center of the village, a sly grin curling beneath the shadow of his broad hat. Just outside their hut stood two close companions, Ade and Kola, arranging baskets of fruit for the sacred offering. Their eyes locked on the stranger as he moved between them. Ade tilted his head. "That's a fine red robe." Kola blinked in disbelief. "Red? Are you serious?" His robe was black. Ade chuckled softly. "Perhaps you need rest. I saw it plain as day, it was red." Kola's expression hardened, his tone sharp. "Ade, don't mock me. That robe was black." What began as light-hearted banter turned heavy. Their voices rose. Tension thickened. Soon, open palms clenched into fists. Soon, more villagers gathered, curiosity pulling them into the quarrel. Within moments, the entire community was split. Some swore their eyes had seen nothing but red, while others argued with equal fire that the robe was black. Voices sharpened into angry shouts, and shouts escalated into harsh threats. What began as a tiny spark of disagreement now burned into full-blown chaos. At the far edge of the village, the mysterious traveler lingered, a sly curve on his lips. His plan was complete. This was no ordinary wanderer. This was Eshu, the trickster spirit, divine messenger of the Orishas, master of disorder and revelation. And the villagers had fallen straight into his snare. Elders rushed forward, desperate to calm the storm, their shouts carried with urgency. Yet the fracture was already carved. Neighbors turned hostile, families split apart, and unity gave way to suspicion. The village now stood divided, one camp swearing the robe was crimson, the other certain it was black. In the midst of the uproar, Baba Oluran, the wise elder, struck his staff against the earth. "Enough!" His voice thundered with command. "Why are we tearing each other apart over the color of a stranger's garment?" But before peace could take root, Ade thrust an accusing finger toward Kola. "Because he refuses to see the truth." Kola's lip curled into a scornful sneer. "No, he is the blind one," Kola barked. The elder exhaled heavily, his weathered face lined with recognition. He had seen enough seasons to know when divine hands were stirring mortal tempers. Only one spirit reveled in such disorder. "Where's that stranger now?" Baba Oluran demanded. The crowd turned their heads, searching, but the man had vanished. Beyond the village, deep within the sacred forest, Eshu strolled down a narrow trail, softly humming to himself. As always, he had sown chaos, but never without intent. His mischief was not meaningless, it carried hidden lessons. Suddenly, a strong gust rustled the trees, and from the canopy descended a radiant figure cloaked in golden brilliance. It was Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom. Unlike Eshu, whose steps bred confusion, his mere arrival washed the air with calm. "Eshu," Orunmila's voice flowed like a gentle river. "Why do you delight in unsettling my people?" Eshu chuckled, leaning casually on his staff, eyes gleaming with defiance. "Unsettling? No, wise one. I only revealed the truth they were too blind to see." Orunmila's brow arched in measured suspicion. Truth? All you've done is tear them apart, Orunmila said firmly. Eshu laughed, his grin sharp as a blade. And tell me, what is wisdom without struggle? How can anyone truly see if they've never doubted what they believe? He spun his staff with flair, then leveled it at the god of wisdom. Your people think they grasp reality, yet they fight like children over a mere color. I only unmask their blindness. Orunmila exhaled, heavy with reluctant understanding. He knew the trickster wasn't entirely wrong. Eshu always exposed what lay hidden. Eshu tapped his chin, eyes twinkling. And besides, isn't it fascinating how quickly mortals turn on each other over something so trivial? His sly gaze pierced Orunmila. Maybe their devotion to wisdom isn't as deep as you believed. Orunmila remained silent, studying him. Then, without waiting for a reply, Eshu turned and strolled down the forest path, whistling a melody only the gods could recognize. For this was Eshu's essence, neither hero nor villain, neither ally nor enemy, but always the trickster. He was more than a wanderer. He was the road itself, the line between truth and lies, harmony and discord. Anyone who crossed his path was destined to walk away with a lesson carved into their soul. Back in the village, unease hung like a storm cloud. The discord Eshu had planted spread like wildfire, leaping from neighbor to neighbor, house to house, until even the elders stood divided. At last, Baba Oluran, the eldest and wisest, raised his staff and summoned all beneath the massive baobab tree, its roots clutching the earth like the hands of eternity. My children, he spoke with calm resolve, before we tear apart everything we have built, let us appeal to the wisdom of the Orishas. The villagers, still bristling with resentment, murmured and argued, but slowly agreed. Together they followed Baba Oluran into the sacred grove, yearning for answers. But waiting there, cross-legged beneath the shade of a tall palm, sat a figure they instantly recognized. His robe was split, one side burning crimson, the other dark as midnight. Gasps rippled through the crowd. It was him, Eshu, the trickster himself. Baba Oluran stepped forward with careful dignity. Eshu, he said firmly, we know who you are. We know you are the trickster. Tell us, why have you brought this division upon us? Eshu grinned, his eyes glowing mischievously like sparks in the night. Done what, wise one? He asked, motioning casually toward the quarreling villagers. I merely passed through. Everything else was your doing. Ade's fists tightened with fury. You deceived us. But Eshu only tilted his head, feigning innocence. Did I, or did you deceive yourselves? Rising smoothly to his feet, he brushed the dust from his split-colored robe. Tell me, Ade, what shade do you see upon me? Ade's glare hardened. Red. Slowly, Eshu turned to Kola. And you? Kola folded his arms across his chest. Black. A rich laugh burst from Ishu's lips. And yet, not once did either of you think to walk around me and glimpse the whole truth. The villagers froze, a heavy silence blanketing the air as clarity struck them like a storm breaking the sky. They had quarreled, torn their community apart, nearly fought each other, all because pride blinded them to another view. Baba Oluran's eyes softened with understanding. So, this was the teaching all along. Eshu's grin widened, playful and sharp. Wisdom is not clinging to what you believe you see. True wisdom is knowing your sight is never the whole picture. With a swift turn, he tipped the brim of his wide hat and chuckled. Now, if you'll excuse me, there are more villages waiting to be enlightened. And with that, he slipped into the forest shadows, leaving behind a village forever marked by his mischief. The people stood beneath the vast baobab tree, the echoes of anger fading into quiet reflection. Baba Oluran raised his staff gently. Yes, he tricked us, but perhaps in that trick he offered us a gift. Ade and Kola's eyes met, the heat of their argument dissolving into sheepish regret. We were so certain we were right, Kola murmured, the words tasting bitter with shame. Ade spoke under his breath, regret heavy in his tone. Kola gave a slow nod, realizing the truth. Their arrogance had blinded them to even glance at the other perspective. The elder's lips curved into a knowing smile. This is Eshu's nature, he said softly. He does not plant division, he uncovers it. He unsettles the mind, rattles certainty, and compels us to challenge our own truths. The villagers whispered among themselves, their earlier anger fading as wisdom slowly settled in. They began to see that their quarrel wasn't about falsehood. It was about their unwillingness to see beyond one angle. Unlike Sango, the fierce god of thunder, or Orunmila, master of divination, Eshu does not preside over war, riches, or wisdom. His dominion lies in the crossroads where every choice and every possibility meets. He is not bound to good or evil. He is the space in between, the restless spark that drives people to think, to act, to change. Without Eshu, life would stagnate, no progress, no growth, no transformation. This is why every offering, every prayer, every word meant for the Orishas must first pass through him. Eshu is the eternal messenger, the gatekeeper of all paths, the guardian of destiny's doors. But take care, misunderstanding his ways invites peril. Dismiss his lessons and you risk becoming lost, entangled in your own illusions and deceits. But when he is respected and honored, Eshu may open the way toward truth, even if that truth stings. The villagers, humbled by their mistake, came together once again. Old quarrels faded, bonds of friendship were repaired. From that day on, they remembered Eshu not with fear, but with reverence for the trickster who revealed their blindness. His tale traveled far and wide, passed down through generations, whispered by elders at night and carried into new lands. His lessons lived on in the hearts of all who listened. For wherever there are crossroads in life, Eshu will always be present. And should you ever stand at a choice, uncertain of what is real, think of the traveler in the robe of two colors. That, dear friends, is the tale of Eshu, the cunning messenger of the Orishas. His wisdom remains alive even today. How many times do we fight, clinging to our view, without pausing to see the other side? If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more African myths, tell me in the comments which legend you'd like to hear next. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another journey into the wonders of African mythology. Until we meet again, may the paths before you lead to wisdom,